so far to harbor life. Like it or not, for the moment, the Earth is where we make our stand.
Alright kids, get your notebooks and your pens and pencils and your whatever else kids bring to school. I don't know, I've been out of school for so many years now. Today we'll be going over our first lesson in the Flat Earth Institute of Bastardization. Oops, I mean science. Oops, no, I totally mean bastardization. I've already watched ahead a little, so that's what I'm calling it, because I've realized something. This guy is a con man, at least as far as his persona goes. He's not genuine about innocently approaching this from a scientific perspective, and it will become very clear why in a moment. By the way, if you didn't come to class on the first day and get the syllabus, you may want to do that now before continuing with this lesson. Top right corner, my friends. Got that? We're all good? Had our juice boxes and Dunkaroos? Alright, let's get learning, everyone.
In the syllabus, we established the scientific model this entire course is founded upon.
And I established how an endless loop of observation and conclusion is nowhere near the scientific method, skipping numerous steps like creating a hypothesis from an observation, designing a test for the hypothesis, repeating the test ad nauseum and ensuring all outside interference is accounted for, and then submitting the results of that test to the wolves of the scientific community to see if it's flawed or not. Please continue.
Now, we will share with you our very first observation, and then we will form a hypothesis.
That's not even what you said in the first lesson. You literally never used the word hypothesis until just now. You dishonest little prick. I'm already annoyed. Fucking continue, I guess.
Let's ask this question. What is the greatest evidence for a flat Earth? What do we found ourselves on? The greatest evidence is the observation of a flat Earth. And that is why the Flat Earth Institute of Science exists.
And that is why you truly are a dishonest prick, and this is not an institute of anything resembling science. This is an institute of conspiracy bullshit. Why? Because you have ignored the following scientists, and bear in mind, this is only a fraction of them who have not observed a flat Earth. Here goes. Christopher J. Cassidy, U.S. Navy SEAL, currently serving as commander of Expedition 63 aboard a microgravity research laboratory located some 400 kilometers above the surface of the Earth. You may have heard of it. It's called the International Space Station. Jessica Meir, marine biologist and physiologist, and served as flight engineer on Expedition 62, one of 2 women to perform the first all-female spacewalk. 564 other people who have been to space. Ing Lemon, who discovered a type of seismic shock wave called primary waves or P waves. The understanding of these waves would lead to all seismology ever, which only works if the Earth is a sphere. Aristarchus and Eratosthenes, most obviously. Every single person who works for NASA, Boeing, Virgin, Northrop Grumman, SpaceX, ESA, CSA, ISRO, Roscosmos, JAXA, the CNSA, and dozens of more space agencies. Galileo. Every single person who does any research whatsoever into gravity, including the employees of LIGO, which was built with the curve of the Earth taken into consideration. And every single company, school, research facility, and so forth that utilizes a satellite in space to do its work. And that's just off the top of my head. So here's the question. Why did you ignore all of that? Because you're conspiracy theorists. Because you have blindly accepted that every single person I just listed has lied to you. Therefore, all of the work every single one of them has done is invalid. That's a ridiculous worldview. Now, even though I've just completely dismantled your single greatest piece of evidence before you even presented it, you may continue.
We're not talking mountains, of course. But when we look out at an unobstructed horizon, we can observe it is flat.
And you fail to ask the question of why you observe that. You fail to acknowledge that the well-known and established vast size of the Earth makes its curvature impossible to see from the ground. Next.
We can find observation after observation of this.
And we can find observation after observation of curvature beyond a certain height. So?
No matter how high you fly, straight horizons are what you see.
Wrong. Go just a little bit higher, my dude, and the curve becomes apparent. Not only that, but we can see it in this very image that you've presented. Watch. Let's take that image, compress it from left to right, and then draw a perfectly straight line across it. Uh-oh. It looks like that horizon appears to be curved, my dude.
Unless you are looking through a fisheye lens.
Just gonna move right on from that, huh? Very subtle. Well, let's take that fisheye lens excuse to the extreme, shall we? Remember that astronaut I mentioned, Jessica Meir? During her lengthy spacewalk outside the ISS, she snapped a selfie using the reflection of the station's solar panels. Thanks to the panel's grid formation, we can see that the lens is not a fisheye, but the Earth is also definitely curved. Fisheye excuse debunked.
Because we can observe flat horizons, we can hypothesize that the Earth is not a globe.
Only if you also hypothesize, at the absolute bare minimum, that every single instance of space exploration has been a hoax. Big leap in logic to make. That's why you're not even addressing it.
Our next step is to look for further observations and put our hypothesis to the test. To be more clear, and for the sake of emphasis, what is our hypothesis? Our hypothesis is that the Earth appears flat because it is flat.
Hang on, let me just do some editing really quickly here. There we go, I have fixed your hypothesis for you.
That is it. Plain, simple, and straight. In Lesson 2, we are going to build upon our foundation of observation, bringing another observation into consideration. And then we are going to begin the testing process.
Will that observation involve anything I've brought up in response to your observation? I fucking bet it won't.
Don't think you'll be free of tests because you are watching a YouTube course online.
Oh man, that's embarrassing.
Before Lesson 2, though, I have an extension video I would like to share with you. Next on the playlist, Mythbusters did their own curvature test in an episode entitled Flights of Fantasy, wherein they flew a plane up to 70,000 feet to show you the supposed curvature of the Earth. People constantly ask, can't you see curvature from a plane? If that were so, ask yourself, why would Mythbusters have to fake curvature with a fisheye lens?
Actually, the question you should be asking is, did Mythbusters fake the curvature with a fisheye lens? You haven't done anything yet to prove they did.
Take note of that. I'll catch you in Lesson 2.
Alright, well it's on to the supplemental then, since he made an assumption, primed his audience with that assumption, and then directed them to another video in order to attempt to prove the assumption. Off we go.
The camera that's facing Adam is staying pretty level with the horizon. Looks like it's pointing right at the horizon. So if it is a fisheye lens, as you guys, maybe you do know, maybe you don't know, if you're pointing it right at your target, if it's level with the horizon, it's going to not have any distortion. So from this angle, we see the horizon pretty flat, but
Actually, Paul on the plane, yes, that's who this is. we don't really see the horizon at all. We see an enormous amount of white shapeless glare. The lighting in this shot is not optimized to show the horizon whatsoever and is not a good reference point.
When we get the shots from the side of the plane, especially when the wing is kind of pointing down where it's kind of banking, and you can see it, they actually had the camera running while the plane was banking, and as it was banking more, you could see the curve become more and more defined because of the lens distortion. So let's keep watching.
Blue. What an unbelievably beautiful day. And from this height, 67,500 feet,
Flat.
the edge of our planet has a definitive curve to it. It is,
Did you catch that? So looking out this window, you see the wing of the plane pointing down below the horizon, so it's in kind of a bank here, and you can see the lens distortion at the top of the frame.
And immediately, Paul has been caught lying. If there's lens distortion at the top, there's distortion at the bottom too. Look at the wing, Paul. Yes, there is distortion. A very tiny, tiny amount. Compare how much that wing curves with how much the Earth does. That's not all distortion, Paul. So that's it for their big evidence. Paul on the plane just proved the globe, and so did Kyle, actually. And he exposed the Flat Earth Institute of Science for the standard nutjob closed box the government is lying crap that we always encounter. Big surprise. If you like this video, please give it a like. If you want to see more, please subscribe and turn on the bell for notifications. If you want to support me further, consider becoming a member or a patron, or checking out my merch or my Amazon links. Thank you, and I will see you over the curve, Space Cowboys.
In a vast cosmic arena. Our imagined self-importance, the delusion that we have some